Giannis Antetokounmpo is done with the Milwaukee Bucks. He's out of there. He wants to get out of there. He wants to be moved ASAP. Now, as I'm making this video, he is down with an injury. He'll be out for 2 to 4 weeks with a right calf sprain. Now, we don't want to play with no sprain, especially a calf sprain, which leads to an Achilles injury. We don't want to do that, especially for Giannis, who's trying to win championship. Now, with his request to be traded, apparently it's been reported that he has to be traded before the season starts, right? He had this whole thing with the Knicks. He's gonna go to the Knicks. I don't know who the Bucks will ask for, but like I said, he's still there. He's still in Milwaukee. Now he is out. We will see what's gonna happen. Now, Doc Rivers said, well, he never really asked me to be traded. I don't know who's right. I don't know who's wrong. But one thing for sure, Giannis's camp talked about moving on from Milwaukee and going somewhere else. People, of course, as soon as this whole thing happened, people are talking about, oh, why would you do that? You're supposed to have a statue in Milwaukee. He will have a statue. It doesn't matter how it ends. As long as it's not terrible and he gets dirty, he should have a statue because he brought you that championship since the Kareem Abdul-Jabbar days, right? 70s. It's been a long time since Milwaukee's been a really good team. And since then, they haven't been a good team, right? They tried this whole thing with sending away Drew Holiday for Damian Lillard. It didn't work out, injury prone of Lillard, with Achilles tear. This whole thing is not looking good. It didn't look good. They didn't really play together. They won the NBA Cup, but you can tell they're a terrible defensive team. Now Brook Lopez is gone. Now they have Giannis surrounded by Kyle Kuzma. Miles Turner went to the Milwaukee Bucks from the Pacers to play with Giannis. Now that Giannis wants to be out, which is crazy to think about because I thought that Giannis would be the guy that would stand his ground and fight till the end. But it's not like the old days anymore, right? When you think about it, Giannis is 30. He's won a championship, Finals MVP, MVPs, Defensive Player of the Year. He's complete basketball, but he wants to achieve greatness, and he believes that Milwaukee is not the right place to do so, right? When you think about it, to win a championship, look at OKC. You need a really, really good team. You need a team that is good from top to bottom, from the first guy to the last guy. When you have SGA, you backed up by Jalen Williams. You have Chet Holmgren, right? You have guys like Alex Caruso, the other Jay Will, Cason Wallace, all these guys they are ready to drop 30. And Giannis understands that, look, I can't do this no more. MJ found out about it. LeBron found out about that. And Giannis realized that I need help, right? I'm 30 years old. I don't know how long I'm going to play for. Takes care of his body very, very well, but you just never know with basketball. So he wants to get out of there and he wants to win championships, ASAP. Is this going to happen before the trade deadline? It's tough, right? When you're dealing with Giannis, one of the best players to ever do it, we know his resume, we know what he's all about. It is tough. But, after last season with the Luka Doncic trade to Lakers, anything is possible. That's the thing. Anything is possible. I don't think that they will make the same mistake as Nico Harrison by basically giving Luka Doncic away for a bag of chips. No disrespect to AD, no disrespect to Max Christie, but you have Luka Doncic, a generational talent, going to Los Angeles to play with the Lakers. Dondi wearing the gold and purple, and now Giannis is up for the trade. Where is he gonna go? Let's talk about it. Let's talk about the Knicks, right? It's been reported that this is probably gonna be the team that will look for him with this request. When you think about it, the Knicks, they have Jalen Brunson. That's the main guy. And then you have Cat, Mikal Bridges, Josh Hart, OG, Deuce McBride, right? You have so many guys. Who are they going to ask for? I'm thinking they're probably going to want Jalen Brunson to stay, right? He's arguably their best player. They probably have to give Cat away, right? And then you also think about it. Should Mikal Bridges go? Should OG Anunoby go? But when you want to win a championship, you need those guys, right? You need the Josh Harts, you need the Alex Carusos, you need the Jay Crowder, you need the Drew Holidays, guys who can defend, who can do a bit of everything, score, both sides of the ball. You need those others to step up. Can Jalen Brunson and Giannis and co do it? Are they gonna beat a team like OKC? It's tough to say, right? When you look at other teams, other trades, the Hawks is another destination for Giannis, right? When you think about it, they have this incredible new identity with this new young, run and gun, tall, lengthy lineup without Trae Young. But they probably want to keep Jalen Johnson, and they're probably going to find a way to keep Jalen Johnson. They really might have to trade away Trae Young or Kristaps Porzingis. All right, is that enough? Right now, you don't have a point guard. Luke Kennard is still there, but no Trae Young. Who's going to run your offense? Right, when it comes down to the X's and O's, who's going to run your offense? Is Giannis going to be that guy? Jalen Johnson's been playing point forward. I can see this as like a KD surrounded by young talents in Houston type of deal, right? We have Giannis surrounded by all these guys. Giannis surrounded by all these guys who can really ball. That's fun to think about. Another thing is the Lakers. Maybe, right? You think about it, Lakers got Luka Doncic, AD, and Max Christie. What can they give for Giannis? I think this is going to be more serious than that type of that trade last season. They might have to give away AR. They might have to give away Rui Hachimura. They might have to give away Bronny. You know what I'm saying? Bronny James. That's going to be tough. They have Jake LaRavia. They have Dalton Knapp. They might have these pieces that the Milwaukee wants. Obviously, they're going to demand some draft picks. They want to build for the future. But we will see. We will see. Is it going to be done by the time he comes back from his injury? Probably not. This is an off-season type of deal. There's going to, in theory, this should take months and months to figure out. Who's the best candidate for this trade? Who wants to put up the best deal for Milwaukee? We're talking about draft picks. We're talking about players who's ready to play now. We'll see. It's going to be fun. But wherever he goes, I'm still going to support Giannis. He's one of the best to ever do it. Another thing we should talk about is the Los Angeles Clippers has parted ways with Chris Paul. He got sent home in the middle of the night. He posted on IG, he got sent home in the middle of the night. I think it was like, 2 a.m., 3 a.m. He didn't know. He just got sent home. Now he's no longer a part of the Clippers organization. This is sad because when you think about it, the Clippers are ass, right? They're one of the worst teams in the West, well, in the whole NBA. With that record, is crazy. Now they just did their legend dirty, right? Sending home CP3 like that. This is crazy. When you think about Clippers, you think about CP3, right? When he got traded from New Orleans to Clippers alongside DeAndre Jordan and Blake Griffin, he turned it around. They were contending. Obviously, they didn't eventually cross the finish line, but wherever he goes, success follows. New Orleans, Los Angeles, Phoenix, Houston, right? He demands a lot, not only from his teammates, but also the organization. And according to Shams, his leadership style clashed with the team. And, that ultimately is the reason why he got cut by the Clippers. Now, is it true? We don't know. We'll love him or hate him. He's a Hall of Famer. He's a legend of the game, right? One of the best point guards to ever play the game of basketball. And you can't do him like that. Not too long ago, he said, this is going to be my last season. I'm going to retire after this season. After years and years playing in the NBA, playing at the top level, this is going to be my last season. And now he's no longer part of the Clippers. I don't know where he's going to go. I'm sure a lot of teams can benefit from having Chris Paul in their team. Even if he doesn't play, even he plays 2 or 3 minutes, he can mentor a lot of guys, veterans or young guys who's in the league. He can help a lot of those guys. Come on, Clippers. You built this new stadium, the Intuit Stadium. Steve Ballmer spent $1 gajillion on this stupid-ass new stadium for this stupid-ass Clippers team. When you think of the Clippers, you think of Chris Paul, and you can't do him like that.